your parents to verify that you took these tests in a realistic testing environment. By which I mean you took these tests with no distractions, no digital devices, no earbuds. I know it's easier to study with earbuds. You would do better if they let you do that on the AP test. We all know that. But if we let you have earbuds, some jackass would put cheating information into the soundtrack. So nobody's allowed to have earbuds when you take the real test, so you can't use earbuds when you do the practice test.
Do our parents need to like sit there the whole time and watch us?
No, what I recommend that you do is you say, hey mom, look, 90 minutes starts now, nothing on my table, no earbuds, my cell phone's over there, thanks mom, and then you can just go 90 minutes to take your test. A single 90-minute sitting per test, no breaks, no food, no water, no digital devices, it's not open note. Nobody cares about your grade, no one will see your answers, I'll give you the answer key later. So however many you get right or wrong doesn't matter. Please don't cheat. It's not worth it. It's better for you to be frustrated and not know things than for you to cheat and get a better grade that nobody cares about. Yeah?
If you finish before the 90 minutes, you need to speak down, right?
On the actual AP test, they would make you sit there.
Yeah, you sit there. I know, but in this practice...
I can't justify that, and your parents would probably lie if I tried to, so I can't force you to stay there for the additional minutes.
But no, I know in the actual, you just sit there looking bored.
Good talk. What else? Yeah?
We don't finish all the questions, are we not going to get full credit?
So you'll get full credit if you sit there for 90 minutes. If you don't finish all the questions in 90 minutes, that's a really important thing to notice. If you can do 85 and you're confident about them, that's way better than rushing to finish 100, because you need a very small number to pass. Yeah?
If a parent is unavailable, can you have like an older sibling do it?
So this gets really slippery, because when we call, they can just lie. You can just find some hobo on the street and buy them a bottle of wine, leave them a burner, and then have them say they're your parent. How am I going to know? But the intent, yes, that is a thing.
How would you buy the bottle of wine?
Are we really getting wrapped up in that? Oh God. I literally heard some kid be like, but I can't buy the wine! Oh God.
And you wanted us to talk to you.
What is wrong with society?
But I can't buy the wine.
The intent of this is that a responsible custodial adult can vouch for the environment in which you take this. And there's so many ways to cheat that no, you shouldn't have someone else, and no, I don't trust your skeezy siblings, and no, I don't think you'll be able to find a hobo who would do this for a burner and a bottle of wine, but maybe, like, you shouldn't cheat, whatever. The goal is that a responsible adult will answer the phone when we call between 9 and 2 or call back. We call twice, and then we give up. There are 2 parent-attested extra credit assignments. This is one of them. There's another one, extra credit number 5 is also parent-attested. So sometime after the AP test, my TAs will start calling home. And if your parent answers and says, yes, she showed me, yes, all 3 of them, okay, thank you, that's all you need. I believe that like Sophia Chakotay's mom is doing like practice test sessions for a bunch of students. So if you trust her to answer the phone call for you as well as the other 5, that's fine. We really do call. If they can't answer the phone between 9 and 2, we leave a phone number where they can call back. After 2 calls, we throw away your slip, so they should definitely call back. Just show them. Look, Mom, no cell, no books. Hang a minute, I don't have my earbuds. There's the phone. They just do the thing. Yeah.
So it can be like someone else's parent.
You know, like we're not gonna force them to do like a DNA test. Like, sir, now we need you to please do a cheek sample. What else? Yeah.
Will you let us know like the day that they're gonna call so we can tell our parents?
I'll try to remind you. It'll be a couple of days after the AP test, so it would probably be not this Friday, but probably starting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right there. Anybody else? Yeah.
When are you gonna put your assignment?
These assignments? So number 1 and 2 will go into your grade update. Number 3 and 5 later. Into the final one. So there's a report card that comes out on Wednesday. That'll have pretty much everything that you know about so far. The pile of packets, extra credit 1, extra credit 2, the Unit 8 exam that you haven't seen yet. 6 and 7 plus corrections on 6 and 7.
Oh.
Yes?
For the exams that we haven't seen, can we talk about it in seminar?
We can, it's just that we just finished 8, like we still haven't even put in the Scantrons yet, those will go in to paper today. So I don't know if I want to do just 8 or if I want to wait until after the AP test when 8, 9, and 10 are done and we would have a class day for it.
Can we do the pile of packets at lunch today?
Yes, I'll be here for a pile of packet corrections at lunch today. What else? Everybody got their extra credit number 2 turned in with names and stapled in the box. Everybody knows about extra credit number 3. Don't worry about cheating. Oh, the best thing you could possibly do. And notice how many incentives you have. There's a lot of reasons to do this because I really value this. You'll see some of these questions on the AP test. It'll help you a lot on the final. I'll give you 2.5 points of extra credit for each one. It'll show you what your strengths and weaknesses are. And one last thing. If you really want to optimize your studying, here's the rhythm. At least 45 minutes, no more than 3 hours of studying your pile of packets. Add new information, quiz each other back and forth, cross off what you already know. 45 minutes to 3 hours, no more than 3. Then, take a break from studying and do something totally different. Video games, eat food, get exercise, take a nap. Then, sit down and do a practice test. That studying break and then the recall activity is really good for studying. That's really good for studying. Theoretically, if you were available, up to 3 hours of studying plus 1 practice exam after a little break in the middle on Monday, then repeat on Tuesday, then repeat on Wednesday or Thursday. You'll kill the final next week, and you'll do really well on the AP test next Thursday. Hand up.
No.
Yeah?
Can our break be studying for a different class, or is it just no study?
It actually should not be schoolish.
Okay.
So if you're like super impacted, I understand that it's tough to, it's better than no break. But my suggestion would be something that's totally non-academic. Go for a surf or pogo stick for a while or something. Kids don't pogo stick these days. You don't know what pogo sticks are? It's like a jackhammer that you ride, yeah. Oh, you can. Okay. when I was young and healthy, I demoed a really humongous concrete foundation with a small 45-pound chipping hammer, and I would leave work and I would go home and I would put the lights on that work area and I would work until around midnight, and then I would go to sleep. And in the last like the 5th or 6th week of doing that, my wrists got so loose that I started to lose control of my hands, and so I would drive down the pass, and a couple of times I like blew turns and like swerved into traffic or got on the shoulder and like couldn't hold the wheel because my hands were all rattled.
That's terrifying.
It's hard work. Take out a blank sheet of paper, please.
That's not.
Blank sheet of paper, please.
Chloe, I'm starting to get that.
Blank
whole
sheet of
thing
paper, please.
right here. It's nowhere near onto your level yet. Oh.
Blank sheet of paper, please. We're going to come back to bioaccumulation and biomagnification later. As you know, Unit 5 was interrupted by those crazy fires. We lost a few days of lecture. This came up in the movie. We kind of talked about it already in Unit number 5. Some of you have seen this in a biology class or in a human geography class. I don't know what your degree of exposure is to this, but I still want to go over it once, just so that we can do one solid lecture on it. We will come back to do a second layer of this tomorrow. Now, demographics are population trends. They're patterns in a population. And when you grow an economy, there's this really dependable transition from one pattern to another. It's called demographic transition. And the variables we're going to look at, if you have a colored multi-pen or something, you should take that out. Birth, death, economy size, and population. If you have a multi-pen or something, take a second, I'll wait. If you've got different colors, you'll probably want them.
There was debate about what the 5th transition would be. What do you think it's going to be?
They're non-sequential at that point. So Chloe, 5th stage, sorry, not Chloe. So Chloe, 5th stage is usually a secondary mini transition when death rates get even lower and birth rates get even lower. So it's called late development, post-development. But that's not guaranteed to happen. It doesn't happen in all countries. It doesn't necessarily follow. It's not like 4th makes the 5th. This is another thing that can happen later. All right. You might remember when we talked about age structures, this should look familiar. This was in the movie that you saw at the beginning of the unit. Most of this will look familiar, but watch. we're going to keep track of how birth and death rates are tied to economic and population trends over time. You can see that on the horizontal axis, this is time. On the vertical axis, that just means high number to low number. So high to low. And the question is, how do devastated, extremely poor countries change over time? How do they become modern, wealthy nations? We can start with a poor, localized, rural economy. This has very low currency. There are no banks. These are localized, often trade economies in the middle of nowhere. These may be without currency. We're talking really simplified economy. And you would usually find this in a country with really high birth and death rates. You'll have about a half hour to copy that diagram, but you probably want to add some of the words that I say if you didn't know it. Now, please look up. If every woman is having 12 children, what will happen to the size of that population? That's what you think, because you're used to a place where all those children survive to adulthood. Please look up. What happens in this country where the woman is having 12 children?
Stable.
Most of them are dying. So population stays stable. If you have 12 kids and only 2 of them make it to 15, that's just called replacement level fertility. That's not population growth. You and I, we can't even imagine a world where 10 of your 12 babies die before they leave high school. That sounds really grim. I don't want to live in a place like that. I don't even know where to find a place like that. Globally, most people say that the least developed nations are basically gone. Nowadays, if you talk to like modern demographers, like people who do this for a living and have been paying attention to global trends, we usually say that the world doesn't have any of these countries anymore. What we get is situational least development status. Like Syria, you've had what, like 9 years of constant warfare? Syria was not a least developed nation before that, but a whole bunch of warfare will do it to you. Sudan, like back to back civil wars plus a drought plus food shortages, okay, that'll do it to you. But globally, most, if not every country are already out of this. They kind of end up there if bad things happen. You get a big-ass hurricane or something, like, oh, dang. They're a stage 1 country for right now. That age structure is really distinct. You should label yours like this: high birth rate, high infant mortality, low life expectancy. High birth rate, high infant mortality, low survivorship, low life expectancy. Like I said, Woman has 12 children, almost nobody makes it to 15. You may find this hard to believe, but I've done a lot of research to put together the stuff that I yell at all of you. I was really, really, really saddened to read some really thoughtful commentary about this topic. The countries that are in stage 1, or historically spent decades in stage 1, high birth and death rate, simplified, poor localized rural economies, high infant mortality, low life expectancy. Those are so easy to fix. Like, if you wanted to go into some like horrific refugee camp, when I was a child, everybody talked about Ethiopia. In many ways, that's resolved. Ethiopia is not a big, fancy, modern economy, but they're also not stage 1 anymore. But when I was a child, they used to put these things on TV at night that would show footage of refugee camps in Ethiopia, and they would be these really emaciated little skeletal children with the big, swollen, gas-filled bellies, and they'd have the flies walking on their eyes because they're so lethargic that they can't even swat the flies away. And like, you would watch these videos and be like, oh my God, someone has to do something, please just take my money. And they used to, like, you could call and like sponsor a child in a refugee camp in Ethiopia or whatever. It was a saying. When I was young, I remember going to my friend Peter's house. And his mom was like, man, don't waste food, don't throw food away. There's starving children in Ethiopia. As if I could send my PBJ crusts to Ethiopia or whatever. The price of saving one of those children is like nickel and dime. Like a teeny little wedge of the US economy could wipe out world hunger. Because please look up, if you want to develop an economy, the first step is really simple. It's basic. Food, sanitation, and water. Those things are not expensive. They're not complex. They're not culturally touchy subjects. You can go to a refugee camp and save lives and not even get out of the car. Just throw water bottles out the window, throw some Skittles out the window, and like, you saved 100 people that day. You need this in your notes, it's not up here. Stage 2 is when you lower death rates. That's easy because keeping humans from dying is simple. We're really sturdy animals. We are omnivorous. We have the ability to care for our young. We can eat all sorts of stuff, and human society is overloaded with food and water and stuff. So what we call primary development or basic development is just the simple stuff. Food, sanitation, and water. Chump change. Death rates are easy to fix. A country in early development is called stage 2, has a shape like this, because you're still getting the same high birth rate as you had before, but now those people are not dying anymore. You lower the death rate, so they just stay in the picture and keep on aging through. You know, more and more money going in for food, sanitation, and water, but that's not a ton of money. It's very responsive, death rate is quick. And watch what happens to population. As people keep having the same number of children, but less and less and less of them die, population will grow and grow and grow. It grows the fastest when there's the biggest difference between birth rate and death rate. The most rapid population growth is when you have 12 babies and none of them are dying. Uh-oh. Here comes the Reaper.
Derek and Theo.
Yes. Can you believe that these kids are still trying to get out of this testing thing? This is what you do all day now?
I guess. I didn't even look at my job description.
Bro.
I think I'm gonna have to write a table myself.
The right one, man.
Well, and then
It's a good thing the kids aren't stabbing each other right now. It's good.
Let's see if anybody can. I will be back for.
Cool, I'll see you then, man. All day long, Gabe stops by, takes children away. Back to me, please. I need you to add some notes on your paper. We say that death rates are responsive to development, that they are inexpensive to fix, that death rates are immediate or that they are flexible. Death rates are solvable, but for a lot of reasons, birth rates are none of those things. Birth rates are stuck. Birth rates are cultural. You know, if you analyze why people have a lot of children, usually it's some mix of poverty, lack of opportunity, female disenfranchisement, sometimes religion thrown into that to reinforce all of those things. You don't get to change those right away. You can't just sprinkle some money at those problems. You want to give women status in their society so they can make decisions about their body and take advantage of opportunities? Good luck with that. Like in the United States, we're still trying to sort that out. And it's 2018 and we're the richest nation on earth and stuff. Globally, adjusting those variables so that a woman won't have 12 children in her lifetime, that's a slow process. That's a slow process. I'm not saying it's a low priority, I'm saying it's a difficult challenge. You're almost all going to have the same number of children that your mom or dad had. It is very unusual for a person to have a different number of children than their parent had. That's what I mean, it's cultural. Like, If your mommy's religion told her not to use birth control, you're likely to share her religion. If your mom grew up in a family with 4 kids and that felt right, she probably had a family of 4 kids, and then that probably is going to feel right for you, so when you get there, you'll probably have 4 kids. You don't have to be like your parents if you don't like them, but most of us think that family was kind of working where I grew up, so that's probably how I want to do it when I get there. So you should know right away that the one critical crux of what I'm telling you now, write this on your paper, is right here. Lowering birth rates is difficult. Birth rates are complicated, man. What people do in their bedrooms, how men and women relate, what other opportunities exist in society for those women? That's not something you can fix without getting out of the car. You can't throw that out of an airplane. You know, basic aid, you can go work for Direct Relief International in Goleta, fill up cardboard boxes with like bottled water and power bars. You can throw this stuff out of a chopper and be like, hooray, you're saved! And you go home and you're a hero, because lowering the death rate is easy. But there's nothing you can throw out where like women will be like, all right, this is cool, just 2 kids for me. Like, this part's easy to describe. I don't even know how to say this right. But you have to like reinvent societies. You got to come up with all these things that don't exist. This is difficult. It's called later development. And you know, you need some infrastructure like roads and freeways so the economy will grow. When the economy grows, you can do more education and medicine. Keep people safe, give people legal protections, opportunities to seek redress when they're wounded or something. Law and Order. Another TV show though. And then like female empowerment too, you know, like giving women like, hey, it's your body, do whatever you're gonna do. Like that's not a checklist. You know, you can't put that in a container over in Goleta and throw it out of a chopper. There's a lot of countries that are stuck right here. Like, I don't know, I just can't quite, you know, I don't know. This, for a lot of countries, goes like birth rates, and it'll just keep going. If we assume the best, birth rates will come down, population will level out, and you'll get a reduction in birth rates. That's what it says, birth rate down, BR down. So that you get that little like truncation at the bottom. If you get past that point, now that your birth and death rates are both low, and your population is leveled out, welcome aboard. You're now a member of the modern economy. Hopefully you get to play along in the international scene. Hopefully you'll get to have one of these lumpy pickle age structures, where everybody gets to be 1,000 years old. You have a high life expectancy. The number of people born is pretty much the same as the number of people that are 80 years old, because you never die. You got nothing to worry about. Populations are mostly stable with a few little ups and downs. We call that a most developed nation or a stage 4 nation. Pretty much every year the College Board asks about this. So when they canceled our Unit 5, I thought, oh dang it, we'll have to figure out how to get this class back. So when all of you were either freaking out or enjoying a week in the snow or whatever, I was up in Yosemite trying to work out the schedule so I could figure out where I would put this lecture. Tomorrow I'll spend a few more minutes on this. And tomorrow we'll talk about what happens if you get bad luck over here. Children, questions about what I've said so far today? Questions? You could ask me now. I'm available for your questions.